Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle one of the biggest, most annoying headaches in test automation. And I'm going to show you one simple function that can make your tests way more reliable. So let's get right into it. So picture this. You've written the perfect automation script. It runs flawlessly. You're feeling good. Then, the next day, it fails. Sound familiar? You run it again, and nope, it fails on the exact same step, swearing it can't find an element that was definitely there yesterday. So what's going on here? Well, the culprit is usually hiding in plain sight. Take a look. On the left, we have an element's ID from one session. And on the right, the ID for the exact same element just a few minutes later. See that? The sessions part is the same, but the numbers at the end, totally different. Yep, these have a name. They're called dynamic web elements, and their attributes literally change every single time the page loads. This means any test you've written that's looking for an exact match, well, it's pretty much doomed to fail. This is exactly what makes your automation feel so brittle and unreliable. But what if we could just tell our script to only look at the part that doesn't change? Well, that is precisely what the XPath starts with function is for. It is an absolute lifesaver. It lets you find elements by matching just that predictable static beginning of a value, and it just ignores the rest. Here's an easy way to think about it. Imagine a lock where the combination changes every single day, but the first few numbers are always the same. The starts with function is like a special key that only needs that static first part to open the lock. It doesn't care about the random numbers that come after. And you know what? Building the XPath for this is incredibly easy. First, you start with the tag name, like // input. Then you add some square brackets for your condition. Inside those, you just pop in the starts with function. And finally, you tell it two things: which attribute to look at, in our case the @ID, and the static text it needs to begin with, like last name. It's as simple as that. Okay, enough theory. Let's actually see this function work its magic on a real page. All right, so our target is this last name input field on a pretty standard Salesforce page. This is the perfect kind of complex web app where you're almost guaranteed to run into these dynamic elements. So we pop open the DevTools, we inspect the element's HTML, and here's what we see. The ID is last name _ 12345. Now, that last name part, that's stable. But that number at the end, it could be anything the next time the page loads. That's our challenge. And here is our elegant solution. This XPath right here tells the script, hey, go find an input tag, but I only care if its ID attribute starts with the text last name. This lets us completely and beautifully ignore that unpredictable number at the end. And boom, one match found. Our expression just slices right through all that dynamic noise and finds the exact element we need every single time. And just like that, your test is now stable. No more random failures from this guy. Okay, let's quickly summarize what we've learned, and I'll throw in one more pro tip that I think you're really gonna like. So here's a little pro tip for you. Starts with isn't just for dynamic IDs. You can actually use it on completely static attributes to give you more flexibility. For instance, if an element's name is user _ last name, you could use starts with to just match on user. It gives you a simpler but still totally reliable locator. Pretty cool, right? So why should starts with be a core part of your automation toolkit? Well, because it helps you write stable, super reliable tests by ignoring all that dynamic junk and focusing only on the predictable part of an attribute. And as we just saw, it can even add some nice flexibility when you're dealing with plain old static values. It's a really simple change that makes for a much more robust test suite. So now you have this awesome tool in your XPath arsenal. Really, the only question left is, which one of your fragile, unreliable tests are you going to go fix first?